Do you even need a certification to call yourself a life coach? But if you want to know my answer to this, and if my answer has changed even since I have gotten my certification, you're in luck because we're going to get into it right now. Hey, Courtney Sanders here. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new to me, I'm a full-time online certified life and business coach, as well as wife and mom. I wear all the hats and do all the things. And today we're going to talk about, do you even need a certification to call yourself a life coach? I know that that is a slightly controversial topic, one that I feel like I've taken on quite a few times on this channel. I'm certainly no stranger to talking about certifications, especially now that I offer my own coaching certification, my own accredited coaching certification for those of you who are interested in learning my methodology as well as learning your own methodology, which we'll talk about in just a second. But if you want to know my answer to this, and if my answer has changed even since I have gotten my certification, you're in luck because we're going to get into it right now. All right, the age-old question in the life coaching industry, or the coaching industry in general: do you need a certification to call yourself a life coach? Well, the answer to that, my answer to that is maybe, maybe. And I think a good analogy to this actually can be found on HGTV, if you can believe it. What? HGTV? For those of you that don't know, HGTV is the Home and Garden Television Network. And I think about this because I was watching this with my parents the other day. They were over and they were, interested in HGTV. They recently bought a new house. And so of course we're talking about decor and all these different things. And we were actually looking at HGTV on demand. So we got to see all the different shows that HGTV has available. And it's pretty interesting because a lot of the shows look similar, but it's like a different host. And it was funny because my stepmom was like, oh, I like that, host. I don't like that host. Or I like that interior decorator. Well, I don't like them. I don't like her design so much, da, da, da. And we were just kind of deciding which show we ultimately wanted to watch so that my parents could get some inspiration for their new house. And so as I was thinking about it, what was interesting is, of the lineup of all the different people that HGTV had on their shows, particularly their interior designers, some of the interior designers were professionally trained interior designers, or interior designers that maybe went to school for it or got a certification in interior design. And others were interior designers who were self-taught and just got really popular because of their particular design style. And so I think HGTV's approach to interior designers is similar to my answer to the question of whether or not you need a certification to call yourself a life coach. I say maybe, and I say it depends, similarly to whether or not you can be an interior designer on HGTV without a specific interior design designation. It depends, right? What is it that you really need to call yourself a life coach, right? I think it'd be easier to start there. You kind of need the same thing that you would need to call yourself an interior designer, right? Whether or not you went to school for interior design, whether or not you have a certification in interior design, you need two things, right? You need one, to know how to do interior design, and you would need to know that, you need to know a spatial designation. I'm not an interior designer, so I don't know what they call this, but you need to know how to orient furniture in a room and kind of spatially how to determine where things go. Like, there's very specific things that you would need to know to call yourself an interior designer, regardless of whether you got a formal designation by that. So there's the actual practice and science of interior designing, which you need to know regardless of whether you went to school for interior designing or not, right? Some people go to school and they learn it, some people are self-taught, but regardless, you need to know that. And then you also need your own design philosophy, right? Why HGTV can have so many shows that essentially are the same thing, but they're all different, is because they have different interior designer hosts, and each host has their own design style that, some audiences are going to gravitate to and some others, right? Maybe this guy is more modern, these people are more farmhouse chic, whatever. Something for everybody if you're looking for shows on HGTV. Well, it's very similar in coaching, right? At the end of the day, the things that you actually actually need in order to call yourself a life coach is you need, one, the ability to coach, right? You need knowledge of how to coach. There is a practice and science of coaching, right? Coaching is not therapy. Coaching is not consulting. There's a very specific practice of coaching that you need to master, whether you get that through a formal coach training program or you are self-taught. And then on top of that, you need a coaching methodology. And I would say you need your own coaching methodology, or you need a unique coaching methodology, because without that coaching methodology, it's going to be very difficult to stand out for the crowd. So do you need a certification or not? Well, it really depends on whether you can get those things on your own, or if you need to go through a coaching program in order to acquire those things. And it's going to be different for, everybody, right? I was able to come up with my own coaching methodology and learn coaching early on in my career that allowed me to call myself a life coach and get started in coaching. However, I started to recognize, particularly with my own clients that I was working with who wanted to get into the coaching industry, that not everybody is able to develop that. Not everybody is able to learn, again, the practice and science of coaching on their own. And not everybody is able to learn how to come up with a coaching methodology that is actually going to make them stand out. And so because a lot of clients were coming to me with that and they felt very insecure about their coaching ability, and they had a lot of imposter syndrome, and they were asking me, how do I coach? That's why I decided to then get my coaching certification so that I could become an accredited coaching certification provider. And so I'm actually really excited about that. I do have not only a coaching program that will teach you how to grow a coaching business, but I have a coaching certification program that will teach you how to coach, that will certify you as a coach, and you will be certified with our accredited coaching designation. And beyond that, not only will you learn how to coach, get a coaching certification, and learn how to build your own business, we will actually teach you how to come up with your own coaching methodology. And if you're wondering what my coaching methodology is, what is this methodology that I devised on my own and that I've been using and working for, almost a decade now, you can actually check out this video here. It's actually a podcast that I did that actually takes a video, right? This is an actual video that is inside of one of the modules inside of our broader coaching certification program, where I not only teach on my coaching methodology, but I talk about what I went through and how I was able to develop this coaching methodology. So if you're curious how I coach myself to success and what my coaching methodology is, you can check that out by clicking that video there on the screen. But it really depends on if this is something that you're able to do on your own, or is this something that you need to receive training and coaching around. And there's no shame around needing support with this, right? Some people are able to do it on their own. Tony Robbins is a good example of that. He is not someone who is quote unquote certified in the industry, but he did receive, I would say, coach training early on. He learned NLP and different modalities, and he was able to design his own coaching methodology that he now certifies other coaches in, right? There's Tony Robbins coaches that use his methodology to coach Tony Robbins clients. So it's not that you're a bad person, if you're not able to come up with your own methodology or learn a lot of these coaching skills on your own, but it really just depends on you. So, can you call yourself a coach without a certification? Yes, but only if, one, you know how to coach, and you literally know how to coach, like the science and practice of coaching, not just, I'm just coaching. Like, do you know how to coach, right? Regardless of how you learned it, do you know the actual science of coaching? And two, do you have a coaching methodology and a framework that you abide by? And particularly, do you have your own methodology that you are using to create change and transformation in your clients? If the answer is no, regardless of whether you have a certification, because quiet as it's kept, there are a lot of people who are just rushing, the process, and they're like, oh man, I just want to become a coach. I'm just gonna, close my eyes and pick the cheapest certification out there. And they just, get something that basically gives them a designation without really teaching them how to coach. And then they don't know how to coach, and they still don't know how to follow a methodology, and they don't have their own methodology. Yeah, they have a certification, but are they really a life coach? Because they can't do, the basic standards that are required in order to truly be a life coach. So that's why I say it depends. There are plenty of coaches with certifications who I would say aren't really life coaches because they don't know how to coach, and they don't have a methodology, and they don't know how to have a methodology. But then there's other coaches who don't have a certification but are self-taught, have gone through other trainings, who do know the actual science of coaching and then have their own methodology. Again, it really depends. So if you are considering a coaching certification, make sure that at a bare minimum, it is going to teach you those things. And I would say make sure that it is going to teach you how to build a business, because the last thing I'll say is, can you call yourself a life coach if you don't have any clients, right? Can you call yourself a life coach if you're not really doing this professionally, right? A lot of people are hanging their shingle out and they're saying, I'm a coach, I'm a life coach, but they don't have a life coaching business. They're not landing clients. Again, regardless of whether you have a certification or not, are you professionally doing this? And the marker of doing this professionally is actually getting paid to do it on a regular basis. So those are my 3 criteria for truly calling yourself a life coach. And so if that's something that you have struggled with and you're like, oh, I really want to learn this, again, I'm really excited about my coaching certification, the CLS coaching certification, which teaches you all of these things, right? We teach you how to coach. You get an accredited certification, right? We are accredited through a third-party coach accrediting body. And then on top of that, you will learn how to come up with your own coaching methodology that you can package into your own coaching package, which you can then sell as a part of your own coaching business. And if you so choose, we even have a package where we will teach you how to build your entire coaching business from scratch. So if you want to learn more about that, you can click the link below in order to watch a short video where I explain this entire process. And then if you're still interested, you can click the button below that video, which will route you through an application. And then once you complete your application, you'll be able to book some time on one of my enrollment calendars to receive a call either with me or someone on my enrollment team to learn more about the program. But that's my answer. That's my answer. So hopefully I didn't step on too many toes with that, but if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you can't wait for my next video, make sure you are subscribed to my podcast, The Courtney Sanders Show, on both iTunes and Spotify. And if you can't wait for my next podcast episode or my next YouTube video, make sure you are following me on Instagram. That's CourtneyLSanders on Instagram. And with that, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.